The research vessel Eternal Horizon drifted through the darkness of space, its hull reflecting the pale light of distant stars. Commander Dae Sung stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the view screen showing the abandoned station ahead. The structure was massive, larger than any city on his homeworld. Yet it hung silent and dead in orbit around the gas giant Kepler 442b. "Scan complete, Commander," said his science officer, Dr. Hana, without looking up from her console. "The station has been abandoned for at least 3 centuries. Minimal power signatures, but something is still active in the core." Dae Sung nodded slowly. They had been searching the outer territories for 6 months now, following rumors of lost technology from the old wars. The Dominion Coalition paid well for such discoveries, especially anything that could give them an edge over potential threats. But this station was different. It appeared on no official charts, and the energy signature it emitted was unlike anything in their databases. "Take us in," Dae Sung ordered. "Standard docking procedures, and keep the weapons ready just in case." The Eternal Horizon moved forward carefully, its thrusters firing in short bursts to match the station's slow rotation. As they drew closer, Hana gasped. The station's exterior was covered in strange markings, symbols that seemed to shift and flow across the metal surface even though they were clearly ancient. "Commander, those symbols. They're not in any language I recognize. They're definitely not Dominion script." Dae Sung leaned forward. "Can you identify them at all?" Hana's fingers danced across her console, comparing the symbols to every known written language in the Galactic database. After several minutes, she shook her head. "Nothing. It's as if this station was built by someone completely outside the known galaxy, but that's impossible. The Dominion has mapped every intelligent species within 1,000 light years." The docking procedure went smoothly, and soon Dae Sung was leading a small team through the airlock into the station. Their suits' lights cut through the darkness, revealing corridors that stretched away in perfect geometric patterns. The air inside was stale but breathable, maintained by systems that had somehow continued functioning for centuries. They moved deeper into the station, their boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. Everything was preserved in an eerie state of suspended time. Computer terminals sat dark and silent. Storage containers were sealed tight. In some rooms, they found what looked like living quarters, with beds and personal items still arranged as if their owners had simply stepped out for a moment. "This doesn't look like it was abandoned during a disaster," said Hana, examining a workspace where tools were neatly arranged. "It looks like everyone just left in an orderly fashion." Dae Sung agreed. There were no signs of battle, no explosive damage, no bodies. Whatever had happened here, it had been planned and controlled. That made it even more unsettling. They found the data vault in the central core of the station. It was a massive chamber filled with storage devices, their surfaces covered with the same flowing symbols they had seen outside. Hana immediately set to work connecting her portable equipment to the ancient systems. It took hours, but eventually she managed to establish a connection. "I'm in," she said, her voice tight with excitement. "The data is heavily encrypted, but the system is responding to standard protocols. Whoever built this wanted it to be found eventually." As Hana worked through the files, Dae Sung explored the rest of the chamber. On one wall, he found what looked like a memorial. Names were inscribed in the strange script, thousands of them, arranged in perfect columns. At the top was a single word repeated over and over, and even though he couldn't read it, something about it made his skin crawl. "Commander, you need to see this," Hana called out. Dae Sung hurried over to her workstation. On her screen were images he had never seen before, creatures that walked on 2 legs like most intelligent species, but with smooth skin in various shades of brown and pink. They had hair on their heads but nowhere else visible. Their eyes were forward-facing, predatory, and they were everywhere in the images, working, building, exploring. "What are they?" Dae Sung asked. According to the files, they called themselves humans. They came from a world they named Earth, located in something called the Sol system. Hana scrolled through more data. "Commander, there are references to them in our own databases, but they're all marked as extinct. The records say they died out 300 years ago during the Coalition Wars." Dae Sung frowned. "Then why is there an entire station full of their data out here in unclaimed space?" Hana continued reading, her expression growing more troubled with each passing moment. The files mention something else, Commander. They keep referring to humans as the unbroken ones. And there are warnings. Lots of warnings. She pulled up a new document, and this one had been translated into modern Dominion standard language. It appeared to be a religious text from the Velthian culture, one of the oldest species in the Coalition. The text was marked as forbidden, sealed by order of the Grand Council over 200 years ago. Dae Sung read aloud, "Beware the ones who cannot be broken, for they will return when the stars align and their fury will remake the cosmos. They are not as other species. They do not accept defeat. They do not forget betrayal. And they never, ever stop coming." A chill ran down his spine. "Are there more texts like this?" Hana nodded, pulling up file after file. "Dozens of them, Commander. From different species, different time periods, but all saying basically the same thing. The Korthan have a legend about those who endure. The Marxians call them the children of stubbornness. Even the ancient Pravesh texts mention a species that would rather die than surrender." Dae Sung paced the chamber, his mind racing. So humans were real and they were dangerous enough that every major civilization warned about them, but the official Dominion records say they were just another failed species that destroyed themselves. Why would the Coalition lie about something like that? "I don't know, Commander, but there's more." Hana pulled up a star chart. These coordinates were hidden in the data, protected by multiple layers of encryption. They point to a location in the Dead Zone. The Dead Zone was a region of space that the Dominion had declared off-limits 2 centuries ago. The official reason was dangerous spatial anomalies, but nobody really believed that. There were rumors of secret weapons testing, of experiments, gone wrong, of things the Coalition wanted to keep hidden. Could the humans still be alive out there? Dae Sung asked. Hana looked at him, and in her eyes he saw the same mixture of fear and curiosity that he felt. "If they are, Commander, then the warnings might not be about something that happened. They might be about something that's going to happen." Dae Sung made his decision. He knew it was against protocol. He knew they should report this discovery immediately and let the Dominion's experts handle it. But something told him that the truth about the humans was too important to leave to bureaucrats and politicians who might simply bury it again. "Set a course for those coordinates," he ordered. "We're going to the Dead Zone." Hana hesitated for just a moment, then nodded and began entering the navigation data. As the Eternal Horizon undocked from the ancient station and turned toward the forbidden region of space, neither of them spoke about the risk they were taking. They both understood that some truths were worth dying for. Behind them, the station's lights slowly dimmed and went dark once more, its secrets partially revealed but far from fully understood. And in the depths of the Dead Zone, something ancient began to stir, responding to signals it had waited 300 years to receive. The journey to the Dead Zone took 12 days of hard travel through hyperspace. Commander Dae Sung spent most of that time in his quarters, reviewing the files Hana had recovered from the station. The more he learned about humans, the more questions he had. They seemed ordinary in many ways, with the same needs and desires as any intelligent species. But there was something else, something the ancient texts kept trying to describe but never quite captured. Dr. Hana worked tirelessly to decrypt more files, and each new discovery made the mystery deeper. She found military records showing human forces fighting against impossible odds and somehow winning. She found historical accounts of human civilizations rising from ashes time and time again, each time stronger than before. Most troubling of all, she found evidence that humans had been developing technology far beyond what the Dominion possessed, right up until the moment they supposedly went extinct. "It doesn't make sense," Hana said during one of their briefings. "A species this advanced, this persistent, doesn't just disappear. And certainly not in the way the official records claim. The Dominion says they destroyed themselves in a civil war, but I've found documents suggesting they were fighting against Coalition forces when they vanished." Dae Sung rubbed his tired eyes. "So the Coalition attacked them? Why would we do that? I don't know. The files are fragmentary, deliberately corrupted in some places, but I think someone wanted humans erased from history and not just physically. They wanted to erase the memory of them too. The eternal horizon dropped out of hyperspace at the coordinates they had found. Before them stretched the dead zone, a region of space that looked no different from any other on their sensors. No anomalies, no unusual radiation, nothing that would justify the Dominion's 200-year prohibition on entering the area. "Scan the area," Dae-sung ordered. "Full spectrum. I want to know if there's anything out here." The ship's sensors worked for several minutes before Hana looked up from her console, her face pale. "Commander, there are structures here, dozens of them. They're hidden behind some kind of stealth field, but our sensors can detect the gravitational distortions they create." Dae-sung felt his heart rate increase. "Can you locate the largest structure?" Hana's fingers flew across her controls. "Yes, Commander. There's a massive space station approximately 40 million kilometers from our current position. It's much larger than the one we found at Kepler 442b. In fact, it's larger than anything I've ever seen. It could house millions of beings. Take us in, slowly, and charge the weapons just in case." As they approached the massive station, its stealth field suddenly deactivated. The structure appeared before them like a mountain materializing from fog. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The design was elegant, with sweeping curves and geometric precision that spoke of a civilization that valued both art and function. The hull was covered in the same strange symbols they had seen before, but here they were illuminated, glowing with a soft blue light. "Commander, we're being scanned," Hana reported. "Multiple sources, very sophisticated technology. They're reading everything about our ship, our crew, even our biological signatures. Can you block them?" "No, Commander. Their technology is far too advanced. It's like trying to stop sunlight with a paper screen." Dae-sung gripped the armrests of his command chair. This was the moment when they would discover if they had made a terrible mistake. "Hail them. All frequencies." They waited in tense silence for several minutes. Then, with a soft chime, every screen on the bridge activated simultaneously. The image that appeared was not a live transmission, but a recording. A woman stood in what looked like a military command center. She wore a uniform that was both practical and formal, dark blue with silver insignia. Her face was calm, almost serene, but her eyes held a hardness that came from seeing too much suffering. "My name is Admiral Jiwoo of the United Earth Expeditionary Force," she said in perfect Dominion standard language. "If you are hearing this message, it means that someone has finally found our breadcrumb trail and had the courage to follow it into the dead zone. I commend your bravery, or perhaps your foolishness. Time will tell which it was." The Admiral walked across the command center and the camera followed her. Behind her, Dae-sung could see other humans working at stations, all wearing the same uniform. By now you have probably discovered that the official history regarding humanity's fate is not entirely accurate. That is a diplomatic way of putting it. The truth is that the Dominion Coalition tried to exterminate us. They labeled us as dangerous, as unstable, as a threat to galactic peace, and then they attacked our colonies, destroyed our outposts, and hunted our ships across known space. Admiral Jiwoo's expression hardened. They thought they had succeeded. They thought they had broken us. But they made a fundamental error in judgment. They assumed we were like other species, that we would accept defeat when it became clear we could not win a conventional war. They did not understand that humans do not break. We bend, we adapt, but we never break. She turned to face the camera directly. "This message is dated the 15th day of October 2547, 300 years ago by the time you hear this. We chose to retreat, to disappear, to let the galaxy think we were extinct. But we did not die. We went into the dark spaces beyond known territory, and we built new homes. We healed our wounds. We raised our children to remember what was done to us, and most importantly, we prepared." The recording showed images now flashing across the screen. Massive shipyards constructing vessels of war, cities on worlds that appeared on no charts, children learning in schools, adults working in laboratories, soldiers training in vast facilities. "We made ourselves a promise," Admiral Jiwoo continued. "We will not forget. We will not forgive the betrayal, but we will wait until we are ready, until we are strong enough that no one will ever try to destroy us again. And then when the time is right, we will return." The recording showed one final image, a star chart marking thousands of locations throughout the galaxy and beyond. "We are everywhere now. We are in systems you have never explored. We are beyond the edge of your maps. And we are waiting." Admiral Jiwoo saluted, her hand moving to her forehead in a crisp military gesture. To whoever finds this message, know that humanity remembers, and humanity is coming home. The recording ended and the screens went dark. For a long moment, no one on the bridge spoke. Then with a soft hum, the station systems came fully online. Lights blazed to life across its surface. Docking bay doors opened in silent invitation. "Commander," Hana said quietly, "we're being sent a navigation path. They want us to dock." Daesung swallowed hard. Everything they thought they knew about the galaxy had just been turned upside down. Humans were not extinct. They had been preparing for 3 centuries, and now they were inviting him inside to learn their secrets. "Follow the navigation path," he ordered. "We've come this far. We might as well see what they want to show us." The eternal horizon moved toward the docking bay, and as it did, more stations began to light up across the dead zone. One by one, dozens of hidden structures revealed themselves, forming a network of installations that must have taken centuries to build. Each one was massive. Each one represented technology and resources beyond anything the Dominion possessed. As their ship settled into the docking bay, Daesung realized something that made his blood run cold. This was not a graveyard of a lost civilization. This was a staging area. The humans had not been hiding in fear. They had been preparing for war. And if they were revealing themselves now, it meant they were ready. The docking bay doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder, and in that moment, Daesung understood that the galaxy was about to change forever. The Unbroken ones were keeping their promise. They were coming home. The interior of the station was unlike anything Daesung had ever seen. The corridors were wide and tall, designed for beings who liked their space. Soft lighting came from panels in the ceiling that adjusted automatically to their presence. The air was clean and carried a faint scent that reminded him of growing things, though he saw no plants anywhere. A holographic figure appeared before them as they walked. It looked human, male, dressed in a simple uniform. Its movements were fluid and natural, more lifelike than any artificial intelligence Daesung had encountered. "Welcome to Station Remembrance," the hologram said. "I am Sentinel, the guardian intelligence of this facility. Admiral Jiwoo programmed me to assist visitors who found their way here. Please follow me. There is much you need to understand." Dr. Hana stepped closer to examine the hologram. "You're an AI? But the Dominion banned true artificial intelligence 200 years ago after the synthetic uprising." Sentinel smiled, an expression that looked genuinely amused. "Humans never banned AI. We learned to work with it, to integrate it into our society safely. That is one of many philosophical differences between your coalition and our civilization. We embrace change rather than fear it. The AI led them through the station, and with each new area they entered, Daesung felt his understanding of human capabilities growing. Medical facilities with equipment that could apparently regenerate damaged organs. Engineering workshops containing tools that manipulated matter at the molecular level. Libraries filled with data storage that could hold the entire knowledge of a civilization. "How many people lived here?" Daesung asked. "At its peak, Station Remembrance housed 200,000 humans," Sentinel replied. "Scientists, engineers, military personnel, and their families. This was one of the last places evacuated during the Exodus. Now it serves as a museum and a message." They entered a vast chamber that took Daesung's breath away. It was a memorial hall, and the walls were covered with images. Thousands upon thousands of human faces looked down at them. Men, women, children, all frozen in time. Beneath each image was a name and a date. "These are the dead," Sentinel said softly. "The ones who did not make it to the Exodus. The ones killed in the Coalition's attacks on our colonies." Admiral Jiwoo wanted them remembered. She wanted visitors to understand that this was not an abstract conflict. These were real people, with real lives murdered for the crime of being human. Hana moved along the walls, reading the inscriptions. Many of the dates were clustered in a 2-year period, 2545 to 2547. "What happened during these years?" she asked. "The Coalition decided humanity was too dangerous to exist," Sentinel replied. "Your leaders feared our technological advancement, our expansion into new territories, our refusal to accept limitations they tried to impose. So they manufactured evidence of human aggression, convinced the other species that we were planning to conquer the galaxy, and launched what they called a preemptive defense operation. We called it genocide." Daesung felt sick. He had been taught that the Coalition wars were a tragic conflict, where all sides bore responsibility. But if Sentinel was telling the truth, then his entire civilization had been built on a lie. "Can you prove any of this?" "Of course." Sentinel gestured and new screens appeared in the air around them. They showed documents, video recordings, intercepted communications, all meticulously organized and time-stamped. Daesung saw coalition military leaders discussing the human problem and planning attacks on civilian targets. He saw falsified reports blaming humans for massacres they did not commit. He saw the systematic erasure of human history from Dominion databases. "This is all real," Anna whispered. "Every byte of data has been verified and cross-referenced," Sentinel confirmed. "The truth is ugly, Dr. Hanna, but it is the truth nonetheless." They spent hours reviewing the evidence, and with each piece of information, Daesung felt his worldview crumbling. Finally, he looked up at the hologram. "So what happens now?" "Humanity has been preparing for 3 centuries. You have superior technology. Are you coming back to destroy the coalition?" Sentinel's expression became thoughtful. "That is an interesting question, Commander. And the answer is not for me to give. But humanity is indeed returning. Even as we speak, the awakening has begun." As if on cue, alerts began flashing on Hana's portable scanner. She checked the device and her eyes widened. "Commander, there are transmissions being broadcast across the entire galaxy. Thousands of them, all from previously unknown sources." Sentinel nodded. "The beacon stations are activating. Every hidden human installation across known space is announcing its presence. Your coalition is learning right now that humanity never died. We have been here all along, watching, waiting, building our strength." Daesung rushed back to his ship, Hana close behind. On the bridge, the communications officer was frantically trying to sort through the flood of incoming messages. "Commander, the entire Dominion network is in chaos. Every major world is reporting contact with human installations. They're everywhere." Daesung accessed the main display and saw the galaxy map covered with new markers. Red dots indicating human presence appeared by the dozens, then by the hundreds in every sector of known space. They were in asteroid fields, hidden in nebulae, orbiting dead worlds even in some of the most populated systems. One transmission was being broadcast on all frequencies, in every known language. Daesung ordered it played on the bridge speakers. A human voice, calm and clear, delivered a simple message. "Humanity remembers. Humanity returns. Stand aside or stand against us. The choice is yours." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. This was not just a discovery of a lost civilization. This was the return of a species that had been pushed to the edge of extinction and had somehow survived and grown stronger, and they were not asking for permission to come home. They were stating a fact. "Sir, we're receiving a priority transmission from Dominion Command," the communications officer reported. "The Grand Council is demanding our immediate return to provide a full report on everything we've discovered." Daesung thought about the memorial hall, about the faces of the dead, about 300 years of lies. Tell them we're on our way, and tell them they need to convene an emergency session, because the galaxy is about to change. He turned to Hana. "Download everything Sentinel will give us. Every piece of evidence, every historical record, every proof of what really happened. The Council needs to see this." As the Eternal Horizon prepared to leave Station Remembrance, Daesung took one last look at the facility. Human ships were beginning to arrive now. Sleek vessels that moved with a grace that spoke of advanced propulsion systems. They were not warships, not yet, but he could see the potential for violence in their design. These were ships built by survivors who had learned from their near destruction. Sentinel appeared on the bridge view screen one final time. "Commander Daesung, Dr. Hana, you have played a crucial role in this moment of history. You sought the truth when it would have been easier to accept comfortable lies. Humanity appreciates that. We hope the Coalition will show the same courage in facing what comes next." "What does come next?" Daesung asked. "Negotiation," Sentinel replied. "Humanity is offering one chance for peace, one opportunity to acknowledge what was done and to make amends. But if the Coalition chooses violence again, if they try once more to destroy us, then they will learn why the ancient species called us the Unbroken Ones. Because this time, we will not retreat. This time we will not hide. This time we will show them what it means to fight a species that refuses to die." The transmission ended, and the Eternal Horizon jumped to hyperspace, racing toward the Dominion homeworld with news that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Behind them, across the dead zone and throughout the galaxy, humanity continued its awakening. The Unbroken ones had kept their promise. After 300 years of silence, they were coming home. The Grand Council chamber on the Dominion homeworld was in chaos. Representatives from every major species shouted at each other, while security forces struggled to maintain order. High Counselor Taejin stood at the central podium, calling for silence, but his voice was drowned out by the panic that had gripped the assembly. Commander Daesung and Dr. Hana sat in the witness section, watching the disorder with growing concern. They had delivered their report 3 days ago, presenting all the evidence Sentinel had provided. The reaction had been immediate and divided. Some counselors demanded immediate military mobilization. Others called for diplomatic outreach. A few even suggested that Daesung and Hana had been deceived by clever human propaganda. But the evidence was impossible to ignore. Human installations continued to reveal themselves across the galaxy. Trade routes were disrupted as massive arc ships appeared in systems that had seen no human presence in 3 centuries. Nowhere did humans attack or threaten, but their mere presence was enough to cause widespread fear. "Order," Taejin shouted, finally getting the attention of the assembly. "We will have order, or I will clear this chamber." The noise gradually died down. Taejin was from the Corvian species, known for their logical thinking and diplomatic skill. He had been a moderate voice on the council for decades, always seeking peaceful solutions. But even he looked shaken by recent events. "We have received a formal communication from humanity," Taejin announced. "They are requesting a summit meeting on neutral ground. They wish to negotiate. Negotiate." A Vraxian military commander stood, his scaled face flushed with anger. "They appear in our space with hundreds of installations we knew nothing about, demonstrate technology far beyond our own, and now they want to negotiate. This is a show of force, nothing more. They are preparing for war, or they are giving us a chance to avoid one," Taejin replied calmly. "Think about what we have learned. Humanity has had 3 centuries to prepare. If they wanted to attack us, they could have done so already. Instead, they are asking to talk. And what will they demand?" another counselor asked. "Reparations? Territory? Our surrender? We will not know until we meet with them," Taejin said. "I propose we accept their invitation and send a delegation to this summit. We should at least hear what they have to say." The vote was close, but ultimately the council agreed. A diplomatic mission would be sent to New Carthage, an abandoned world that had once been a thriving trade hub before the coalition wars. Both sides agreed it was neutral enough ground for such a historic meeting. Daesung was surprised when he was asked to join the delegation as a military observer. Hana was brought along as a historical consultant. They boarded the diplomatic vessel Harmony along with Taejin and a small team of experts. The journey to New Carthage took a week, and during that time they prepared for every possible scenario. When they arrived, they found human ships already in orbit. 3 vessels, unlike anything in Coalition databases, held position around the planet. They were beautiful in a deadly way, sleek and powerful, with weapon ports that were visible but not openly threatening. A shuttle was dispatched from the largest ship, and it landed at the designated meeting site on the planet's surface. The humans who emerged from the shuttle moved with military precision. At their head was a man who introduced himself as Ambassador Hyunwoo. He was middle-aged by human standards, with gray streaking through his dark hair and eyes that had seen too much. Behind him came General Eunji, a woman whose bearing made it clear she was a soldier of the highest caliber, and Dr. Sang-hoon, whose scientific credentials were immediately apparent from the scanning equipment he carried. The 2 groups met in what had once been a grand conference hall. The building was still intact, its architecture a reminder of better times when different species had met here in trade and friendship. Now it served as the stage for a meeting that would determine the future of galactic civilization. "Thank you for coming," Ambassador Hyunwoo said, his voice carrying easily across the hall. "We understand this must be difficult for you." Taejin stepped forward. "Difficult is one word for it. 3 days ago we believed humanity was extinct. Now we learn you have been living in secret, preparing for this day. You can understand why many in the coalition view this as threatening." "We can," Hyunwoo agreed, "just as you can understand why we felt the need to prepare. The coalition tried to exterminate us. We learned that trusting in the goodwill of others was a mistake we would not repeat. The official records say humanity was destroyed in a civil war." Another coalition representative objected. Dr. Sang-hoon stepped forward and activated a holographic display. The official records are lies. Allow us to present the truth. For the next several hours, the humans presented their evidence. They showed intercepted communications between coalition military leaders planning attacks on human colonies. They displayed falsified intelligence reports that had been used to justify the war. They revealed how human historical records had been systematically erased from Dominion databases. Most damning of all, they showed footage of coalition forces attacking civilian targets and then blaming the destruction on human aggression. Dae-sung watched the coalition delegation as the evidence mounted. Some looked shocked, as if genuinely learning this history for the first time. Others looked uncomfortable, as if they had suspected the truth but never wanted to face it. A few, particularly the military representatives, showed no surprise at all. "This is all very convenient," the Vraxian commander said when the presentation ended. 300 years later, you produce evidence that cannot be verified. How do we know you have not fabricated all of this? Because you can verify it, Hana spoke up, surprising herself with her boldness. I have spent the last 3 days cross-referencing the human evidence with our own historical archives. The documents they cite exist in our databases, though they have been marked as classified or corrupted. The communication logs match transmission patterns in our military records. The timeline matches unexplained gaps in our official history. Everything they have shown us is real. General Yoonji spoke for the first time, her voice hard as steel. We did not come here to debate history. We came to discuss the future. The coalition has 2 choices. You can acknowledge what was done, accept responsibility, and work with us to build something better, or you can deny the truth and face the consequences. Is that a threat? The Vraxian commander demanded. It is a statement of fact, Yoonji replied calmly. While we have been speaking, human vessels have moved into position throughout coalition space. We are currently holding orbital positions over every coalition homeworld. We have not fired a single shot, and we will not unless fired upon. But we want you to understand that we have the capability to do so. We are not the weak, scattered refugees you tried to destroy 3 centuries ago. We are strong. We are united, and we will not be pushed aside again. A commotion erupted in the coalition delegation. Several representatives activated their communication devices, confirming what General Yoonji had said. Human ships had indeed appeared in orbit of every major world, all at the exact same moment. The coordination required for such an operation was staggering. Dae-jin called for calm. This is indeed a demonstration of power. But as you said, you have not fired. You are here talking to us. That suggests you want more than simple revenge. Ambassador Hyunwoo nodded. We do. We want recognition. We want justice. We want the truth to be known throughout the galaxy. And we want to ensure that what happened to us never happens to another species. What are your specific demands? Tae-jin asked. Hyunwoo outlined humanity's terms. Formal recognition of human sovereignty over the territories they had settled during their exile. The return of human artifacts and remains held in coalition museums and research facilities. A public acknowledgement of the truth about the coalition wars. Reparations for the destroyed colonies and the billions of humans who had died. And most importantly, the establishment of a new galactic order based on mutual respect and guaranteed rights for all species. In exchange, Hyunwoo continued, we offer our technology, our knowledge, our partnership. Humanity has made breakthroughs in medicine, engineering, and science that could benefit every species in the galaxy. We do not want to conquer you. We want to stand beside you as equals. The Vraxian commander stood abruptly. This is unacceptable. You cannot simply appear after 3 centuries and demand we restructure our entire civilization. The coalition will not surrender to threats. Then the coalition will make the same mistake twice, General Yoonji said coldly, and this time, there will be no recovery. Tae-jin raised his hands, trying to prevent the situation from deteriorating further. Please, both sides, we need to think carefully about what we do next. Ambassador Hyunwoo, your terms are substantial but not unreasonable given what we have learned. Give us time to present this to the full council and debate the matter properly. How much time? Hyunwoo asked. 1 week. Hyunwoo consulted briefly with General Yoonji and Dr. Sang-hoon, then nodded. 1 week. But know this, Counselor. Humanity has waited 300 years for this moment. We will not wait much longer, and if the Council chooses violence, we will respond with everything we have built, everything we have learned, everything we have become. We tried peace once and you answered with genocide. We will not make ourselves vulnerable again. As the meeting adjourned and both sides returned to their ships, Daisung found himself walking beside Taijin. The counselor looked older than he had a week ago, worn down by the weight of decisions that would shape the future. What will the council do? Daisung asked. I do not know, Taijin admitted. But I know what they should do. They should accept humanity's terms, acknowledge the truth, and pray that the Unbroken ones are merciful, because if they choose war, we will lose. And this time we will deserve it. The Grand Council chamber had never been so quiet. Every seat was filled, every representative present, because they all understood that the vote they were about to take would determine the future of their civilization. High Counselor Taijin stood at the central podium, looking out at the assembly with an expression of calm determination. Before we vote, he said, I want to speak plainly about what we face. 300 years ago, our predecessors made a terrible choice. They looked at humanity's rapid advancement, their expansion into new territories, their refusal to accept the limitations we tried to impose, and they were afraid. That fear led them to lie, to manufacture evidence to convince themselves and others that humanity was a threat that had to be eliminated, and then they tried to commit genocide. A murmur ran through the chamber, but Taijin continued. They failed. Humanity survived because they possess something that we, in our fear, could not understand. They possess an absolute refusal to accept defeat. They adapt, they endure, they rebuild. Every time we thought we had broken them, they came back stronger. And now, after 3 centuries of preparation, they have returned, not as the scattered refugees we tried to destroy, but as a unified civilization with technology and capabilities far beyond our own. So you suggest we surrender? The Vraxian commander called out. I suggest we face the truth, Taijin replied. Humanity is offering us a chance at peace. They could have returned with weapons firing, seeking revenge for what was done to them. Instead, they came with terms that, while demanding, are fundamentally fair. They want recognition. They want justice. They want to ensure this never happens again. Are these not reasonable requests from a people we tried to exterminate? Another counselor stood. But accepting their terms means acknowledging our own crimes. It means admitting to our people that everything they were taught about the coalition wars was a lie. The political consequences will be severe. Yes, Taijin agreed. And we deserve those consequences. We deserve the shame of facing what our civilization did. But more importantly, we deserve the chance to be better. If we reject humanity's offer, if we choose pride over wisdom, then we are choosing war. And I have seen the evidence of what humanity has become.
We will not win that war.
We will simply add more names to the memorial walls they built to honor their dead. The debate continued for hours. Representatives from the military-focused species argued for mobilization, insisting that humanity's show of strength was proof of hostile intent. The scientific and diplomatic species countered that humanity had demonstrated remarkable restraint, never firing a shot despite having ample opportunity. The votes were tallied multiple times, with representatives changing their positions as arguments swayed them one way or another. Finally, as the sun set on the Dominion homeworld, the final vote was called. Taijin watched the display as the numbers came in. It was close, far too close for comfort, but the decision was clear. The coalition would accept humanity's terms. They would acknowledge the truth, provide reparations, and work toward building a new galactic order. The vote is decided, Taijin announced. We choose peace. We choose truth. And we choose to face the future alongside humanity rather than against them. Not everyone accepted the decision gracefully. The Vraxian delegation walked out in protest, vowing to defend their territory with or without coalition support. Several other military commanders expressed similar sentiments. But the majority had spoken, and the peace process would begin. The formal signing ceremony was held 1 month later on New Carthage, the same place where the initial summit had occurred. This time, representatives from every coalition species attended, along with human delegations from dozens of worlds that had been settled during their exile. The event was broadcast across the entire galaxy, ensuring that every being could witness this historic moment. Commander Daisung stood in the crowd, watching as High Counselor Taijin and Ambassador Hyunwoo signed the Treaty of Remembrance, named in honor of the station where the truth had first been revealed. Dr. Hana stood beside him, and he could see tears streaming down her face. Why are you crying? he asked gently. Because we did this, she said. We found the truth when it would have been easier to turn away. We refused to accept the comfortable lies, and now the galaxy is going to be different because of it. As part of the treaty, the Coalition agreed to several major changes. All human historical records would be restored to public databases. The truth about the Coalition Wars would be taught in schools across every member world. A new governing body, the Galactic Assembly, would be formed to ensure that no single species could ever again attempt what had been done to humanity. And most significantly, humanity's technological advances would be shared with all species, bringing benefits to billions of beings. The changes happened faster than anyone expected. Within weeks of the treaty signing, human medical technology began saving lives across the galaxy. Diseases that had plagued certain species for generations were suddenly curable. Dr. Sang-hoon's dimensional communication breakthrough allowed for instant contact across galactic distances, revolutionizing trade and diplomacy. Human terraforming techniques opened up thousands of previously uninhabitable worlds for colonization. But there were challenges too. Not everyone accepted the new reality. The Vraxian Confederation, true to their word, refused to sign the treaty and declared independence from the coalition. For a brief moment it seemed that war might break out anyway. But General Yunji demonstrated why humanity had been so feared. Without firing a single shot, she positioned human vessels around Vraxian space and cut off all their trade routes. Within 2 months, the Vraxian government collapsed from internal pressure, and a new administration signed the treaty. Dae Sung was given a new role as humanity's liaison officer to the coalition. His first assignment was to help establish joint research facilities where human and alien scientists could work together. He traveled to the newly constructed Unity Station, a massive facility built in orbit around New Carthage, where the brightest minds from all species gathered to push the boundaries of knowledge. Hana joined the Historical Reconciliation Commission, working to ensure that the truth about the past was preserved accurately and taught to future generations. She spent months interviewing survivors from both sides of the conflict, recording their stories so that no one would ever forget what had happened and why it must never happen again. 1 year after the treaty was signed, Dae Sung received an invitation to visit Earth, the human homeworld that had been off-limits to outsiders for 3 centuries. He accepted, curious to see the place where humanity had originated. The journey took him through human space, and he was amazed by what he saw. Thriving colonies on worlds that should have been too hostile for life. Cities that blended advanced technology with natural beauty. Children of different human ethnicities playing together. All of them learning about the stars and dreaming of exploration. When he finally saw Earth from orbit, he understood why humans had fought so hard to survive. The planet was beautiful. A perfect blend of blue oceans, green continents, and white clouds. It was a world worth fighting for, worth dying for, worth spending 3 centuries preparing to reclaim. Ambassador Hyunwoo met him at the spaceport. "Welcome to Earth, Commander. What do you think?" "It's beautiful," Dae Sung replied honestly. "I can see why you never gave up on coming home." "Home is not a place," Hyunwoo said. "It is a feeling, a memory, a promise. We carried Earth with us wherever we went during the exile, and now we carry the galaxy with us as we move forward." They walked through the capital city, and Dae Sung saw something that gave him hope. Humans and aliens working together, living together, building together. A Corvian family had opened a restaurant serving both human and alien cuisine. A group of human children were being taught by a Veltian professor. In a park, a memorial had been erected listing the names of all who had died in the Coalition Wars, both human and alien. The inscription read, "Here lie the fallen of the breaking. May their sacrifice teach us that strength without wisdom leads only to ruin, and that the truly unbreakable are those who choose mercy after enduring the unforgivable." 5 years after the treaty, Dae Sung and Hana returned to New Carthage for a special ceremony. A new generation of explorers, human and alien working side by side, were departing on a mission to chart the unknown regions beyond the galactic rim. It was the first truly joint expedition, with crew members from every major species represented. As they watched the fleet depart, Hana turned to Dae Sung. "Do you remember what Sentinel told us? That humanity would show the galaxy what it means to be unbreakable?" "I remember," Dae Sung said. "I think the ancients were right to warn about the unbroken ones." Hana continued. But they were wrong about what to fear. Humanity's true strength was never their refusal to be defeated. It was their capacity to forgive without forgetting, to offer mercy when they had the power for revenge, to build bridges after burning them all down. Dae-sung nodded, watching the ships vanish into the stars. The galaxy had changed. The lies had been exposed, the truth acknowledged, and a new era had begun. Humanity had returned not as conquerors but as partners, not as destroyers but as builders. They had proven that the truly strong are not those who dominate others, but those who lift others up. In schools across the galaxy, children learned the full history now. They learned about the Coalition's mistake, about humanity's exile, about the 3-century preparation, and about the choice both sides had made to pursue peace instead of war. They learned that strength means nothing without wisdom, and that mercy is not weakness but the highest form of courage. The Unbroken ones had kept their promise. They had returned. And in doing so, they had shown the galaxy a truth that some species had forgotten. That the measure of a civilization is not in its ability to destroy, but in its capacity to forgive, to rebuild, and to choose hope even after experiencing the depths of despair. As the last ship disappeared from view, Dae-sung smiled. Humanity had indeed remade the cosmos, but not through fury as the ancient prophecies had warned. They had remade it through example, showing that those who refuse to break can also refuse to break others. And in that refusal, in that choice to be better than what had been done to them, they had given the galaxy something more valuable than any technology or weapon. They had given it hope for a better future.